If so, please unmute your microphone and introduce yourself so that we may greet you. All right. With those in the first 30 days of recovery, please unmute your microphone and tell us who you are and your sobriety date. All right. Is there anyone celebrating an annual birthday since their last CMA meeting? If so, would you unmute your mic, introduce yourself, tell us your sobriety date, and the length of time you have. All right. The readings used at this meeting are adapted from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the writings of Crystal Meth Anonymous. The 12 steps of our program are suggested to provide us with a plan with which to build a sober, better life. We believe that if we work these simple steps, we will live free of active addiction. I've asked Justin to read the 12 steps of plan of action.
Hi guys, my name is Justin, Crystal Meth Addict. And this is a plan of action. Alrighty, well, the 12 steps of plan of action. We come to CMA because of our common problem. We stay because of our common solution. To find long-term freedom of addiction, we worked with 12 steps of Crystal Meth Anonymous. 1. We admitted that we were powerless over crystal meth and our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of a God of our understanding. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7. Humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with the God of our understanding, praying only for the knowledge of God's will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to crystal meth addicts and practice these principles in all our affairs. Crystal meth seemed like the answer to our problems. Not anymore. We realized our drug use was killing us. Once we started, we couldn't stop. Today, to stay clean and sober, we don't pick up, no matter what. When we take action, we choose faith over fear and progress over perfection. As we work the steps, we put spiritual principles into motion. Surrender is an action, it brings freedom. Humility is an action, it brings perspective. Gratitude is an action, it brings contentment. This is the gift of recovery. We awaken, our lives improve, and we gradually move from self to service. We act as messengers to others who are suffering, messengers of hope and healing, of connection, compassion, and yes, even joy.
Thanks, Justin. I have asked David to read Are You a Tweaker?
Hi, my name's David. I am a tweaker. Started age 11/18/20. Are you a tweaker? It doesn't matter what you call it. It doesn't matter how you did it. It brought us to our knees because without exception, that is what it does. Is speed a problem in your life? Are you an addict? Only you can answer those questions. For most of us who have to admit defeat, the answer is very clear. Yes, we had a problem with speed, and no, we couldn't fix the problem by ourselves. We had to admit defeat to win. Speed was our master. We couldn't control our drug use. We started out as weakened, or occasional use became daily use, and we found ourselves beyond human aid. We truly suffered from the lack of power to fix our problem. Some of us use speed as a tool to work harder or longer, but we couldn't keep a job. Others picked at their faces and arms for hours and hours or pulled out their hair. Some of us had uncontrollable sexual desire. Others endlessly tinkered with projects, accomplishing nothing, but found ourselves so busy we couldn't get to work on time. We deluded ourselves into thinking that staying up for nights on end was okay, that our tweaking was under control. and that we could quit if we wanted to, or we couldn't afford to quit, or that our using was, or using didn't affect our lives. Sorry. Maybe we saw a friend go to jail, or lose their apartment, or lose their job, or lose the trust of their family, or die, but our clouded minds wouldn't admit we were next. Most of us saw no way out, believing that we would use until the day we died. Almost universally, if we had an honest moment, we found that our drug use made seemingly insurmountable problems in our lives. The only way out was if we had the courage to admit that speed, our one-time friend, was killing us. It doesn't matter how you got here. The court sent some of us, others came for family or friends, and some of us came to CMA on our own. The question is if you want help and are willing to go to any length to change your life.
Thank you, David. We ask that when discussing our problems, we confine ourselves to those problems as they relate to drug and alcohol addiction. Also, please remember the recovery of others and avoid glorifying drugs and/or drug-driven sex. Our respect for other members includes how we speak in these rooms before, during, and after meetings. Please help make CMA a safe place for members and especially newcomers. It is customary at Unwired Dallas to state your sobriety date when sharing. Please feel free to share your sobriety date with us. Tonight's speaker meeting. And Justin B. will be sharing his story. And Justin, is there someone who will be introducing you?
No. No, I didn't know that was necessary. Go ahead.
You did now. All right.
Can I introduce Justin real quick?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, I'm Daniel, crystal meth addict, and sorry, I'm in the middle of painting, but I would like to introduce Justin really quick. I've known him for I think at least 8 years. When I first met him, he was someone that was in my early recovery life, and I've seen him grow so much, and I think he's a really inspirational person that gives a lot back, and he really cares about people, and he listens to people, and I truly appreciate the selflessness that that he expresses in the program. And with that, we have Justin.
Hi guys, my name is Justin. Thank you, Daniel. That was sweet. I'm a crystal meth addict. My sobriety date is March 2nd of 2020. That is not my first sobriety date. Hopefully it's my last. So I was born on May 31st, 1990, in Dallas, Texas. I was born to a alcoholic father and a meth head mom. I have one sibling. It is my sister. She's 2 years younger than me. And I was raised in Denton, Texas for about 8 years of my childhood. So it started off as my dad constantly being an abusive alcoholic. My mother decided to leave him when I was the age of 5, because he likes to put his hands on women. So at the age of 5, my mom disappeared. I didn't see her for 12 years of my life. She didn't want anything to do with me or my sister or my father. So at an early age, I felt like I was, I guess you could say, abandoned from my mom. And it kind of affected my life. It did. I soon to find out that my that my dad went to prison at the age of 7, whenever I was the age of 7, for killing somebody. Um, it was for self-defense. My mother tried to kidnap me and my sister from my dad, and pretty much my dad ended up having to protect himself and us. So he went to prison for 5 years. I was raised by my grandmother at that time. My grandmother was very abusive as well, physically abusive, and I can see where my dad gets it from. So at an early age, I was physically, emotionally, and mentally abused. Um, Going into my teens, my dad finally got out of prison and pretty much like started immediately getting married to other women. Um, so I kind of had to adapt to everything that was going on because we didn't really have a say so or anything as a child or a teenager. So I kind of got used to adapting to any situation that was in my presence, kind of like a chameleon. And I still remember. Let me go back just a minute. So in primary school and middle school, as a kid, I used to be picked on, um, and used to be called gay and all this stuff. At that time, I didn't know that I was. So my dad basically has married 6 women, and divorced has been divorced by every single one of them. So as a teenager, I was very rebellious with my father, because I didn't like to be around it. I didn't want to be around anything that had to pertain to abuse and alcohol. Um, so I decided to start blocking him out, mentally. Anything he said, I did the opposite. So at an early age, I learned to be rebellious with anything. And eventually it turned into everything. So as a teenager, my father decided to put me through therapy. I think I was 13 years old when he put me through therapy. And it had to pertain to my mother and all this stuff about the divorce and all this, because that's what was kind of like eating at me. Um, and I could say it worked for the most part, but of course, as a 13-year-old, I didn't know who this person was that I was talking to, so I'm not going to open up completely to this person. Um, and then I think it happened for like 2 years, and eventually I told my dad, I don't want to do this anymore. It's pointless. It's useless. Um, so please just take me out of it. So during that time that I was in therapy, I started realizing that I had feelings for guys. I was 13, 14 years old when this came out, and I didn't act upon it, but I held it inside. So I kind of hid from it. Because being raised, being forced to go to church every Sunday and every Wednesday, I was basically raised saying that it was a sin. And going on through middle school and coming into high school, I started getting more feelings for guys. And in high school, my freshman year, I started acting upon them. That included me. First thing I started was drinking. Um, I wanted to be cool. I wanted to fit in with everybody, and it worked for a little bit, and then it stopped. I started getting a little out of control with it at an early age, and I went from drinking to weed. I caught my father smoking weed at my house, and I asked him if I could hit it, basically, and he let me hit it. So I got really addicted to weed from freshman year to junior year in high school. Um, I'd smoked it every day before school, on my lunch break, and after school. Um, I almost got suspended because every time I would come into class, I remember this, every time I come into class, my teacher would say, "You need to leave. You smell like weed, and it's inappropriate to be like that at school." So this continued to happen, and eventually my dad kind of had to step in. Um, and you know, me being a rebellious person and my dad being an abusive alcoholic, um, he kind of forced it, saying that if I continue to do it, there's going to be consequences. And as a rebellious person, I didn't listen. Well, I got suspended, and when I got suspended, I believe I was a junior. Um, no, I was a sophomore in high school. Um, I kind of went buck wild after that. You know, that's when I started experimenting with other drugs. And my family did know this, of course. I kind of hid it. Um, and, you know, I remember my sister. So, like, my sister is my best friend. Was as a childhood, was during my addiction, and is still. She's been there through thick and thin, everything. Um, and you know, so anytime I had a problem, I would go to my sister. Um, and she caught me. I remember. So this. I was a junior in high school. I was playing football most of my high school years, and I decided to stop doing that and become a cheerleader. When I became a cheerleader, I came out in high school. I was the only male cheerleader and the only male to come out in Gunner, Texas, which is a little 2A school, Bumfuck, Egypt. Um, and when I came out, my dad didn't approve of it. He put his hands on me and told me there's not going to be a fag that lives in this house. So, when that happened, my wild self broke out even more. So, then I started experimenting with heavier drugs. I ran away, never turned back, didn't talk to my dad for 6 years. I didn't talk to any of my family, pretty much. And, you know, my senior year, I started using meth really bad. It was probably a week before graduation. You know, I had a full ride scholarship for cheerleading at UNT with my sister. And 2 to 1 week before graduation, they decided to drug test all the athletes in the high school. Well, I was an athlete, and I failed my drug test, so my full ride scholarship was pretty much yanked out from underneath me. When that happened, I didn't really have anything to live for then, so I just kind of went a little bit more heavy in drugs. You know, I decided to move away from Gunner and into Dallas, Texas, which is where the big city is, where I can be myself and feel accepted or not judged. And I ended up getting into a relationship that was very toxic. And I mean toxic as in physically toxic. I went from smoking meth to using it in IV use within the first year. And, you know, me switching from that within the first year, I ended up catching 2 charges. I became physically abusive to any of my boyfriends at the time. I caught 2 assault charges back in 2012, and I thought that would stop after that. Well, it didn't. I soon after that caught a theft charge from Walmart. You know, the things that basically like thought you would never do. Well, it happened. I made some pretty stupid mistakes in my drug addiction. I will say that. You know, so from the span of 2012 to like 2017, I pretty much like was jobless, expected everybody to do everything for me, to pay my bills, to feed me, to give me drugs, and you know, it worked for a little bit. It did, but then I became miserable. I became so miserable to where it ended up. I ended up basically homeless. Um, I was homeless for 8 months, living on the streets, sleeping on the streets, um, and eventually in 2017, I started hanging out with the wrong crowd. The wrong crowd meaning I started doing illegal federal things that could have sent me to prison for more than 20 years. And, you know, me being on drugs, I didn't really give a fuck. I didn't care about anything around me, what destruction I did. Um, if you were in my way, I was going to run you over. And, you know, thank God I didn't get caught. Um, and it's my higher power, I think, is the one, I'm pretty sure is the one that was watching over me. He gave me many times where I was close, probably to teach me a lesson. And I kind of took it in heed. So in 2017, I ended up um, catching a charge for theft of an unauthorized vehicle. So it was dealing with credit card fraud, and you know, it kind of like woke me up real quick after that. Um, I went to jail for about 6 months, and my dad pretty much told me I had to sit my ass in jail and learn my lesson. You know, after that, I got out and I became running amok again. Um, Let me go back just 2 years. So back in 2015, I was running so buck wild to where I was using IV use after people that had HIV. And I didn't really care. Um, I was too focused on getting high, and not giving a fuck of how I was doing it and who I was doing it with. And I ended up contracting HIV and Hep C at the same time. And, you know, I still remember that day. It was October 15th of 2015. I felt something was wrong with my body. I knew my body wasn't right, so I went to go get tested. And 5 doctors walk in the door and end up saying, Unfortunately, we have bad news. You know, we tested you and you came back positive for HIV and Hep C. And I looked at the doctors and I said, I'm not surprised. You know, is it like, what do I need to do to fix this? He said, well, you can't really fix it, but you can maintain it. So immediately, even in my drug use, I went to my healthcare provider in Prism Health and went and got on meds. I probably waited a year before I took care of the Hep C. I can't remember exactly when I started getting treatment for that. And it got so bad to where my liver was on stage 3 from the Hep C, and I started having problems with it. You know, to this day, I can look back and understand why I did it. And I think most of the reason why I did it was because I never felt accepted or loved from my family or from my father. I was constantly seeking for validation, whether it was through drugs, sex, anything that could make me feel validated. You know, I'm not going to go into gory details with it because it's unnecessary and not the right place for this. But I pretty much, like, during my drug addiction was probably, I mean, I was a hoe. I'm not going to lie. And you know, I'm okay with that because it got me where I am today. It taught me lessons for where I am today. And I know that me being sober, I can't do that anymore. I can't be the old Justin that did anything you wanted. You know, so I'm still on bond for it. I've been on bond for that charge in 2017 for going on 4 years and next February. So the tools that I have learned from this program has given me the opportunity to really recognize when something's bothering me and when I'm not doing God's will and doing my own will. Because when I do my own will, shit starts fucking up. I start doing things that I'm not supposed to be doing, and which includes not going to work, not going to meetings, not calling my sponsor, not working the steps, and then I start slipping. And it can easily go to a drink, drug, whatever it is. So I had 2 years previous to this, and I thought I had my shit together. I thought I had it, thought I could control it, thought I could handle it. Well, it didn't work out. I ended up drinking and smoking weed. And, you know, I felt so embarrassed and shameful towards myself that I kind of hated myself at the time. So I decided to get back into Oxford. By the way, I live in Oxford House, which is a sober living, and it's probably one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. And I decided to get back into Oxford and start this over. But this time, don't slack on shit that I did last time. I have gained a connection with my higher power that I never thought I'd be able to. I talk to him every day as if he's a person in front of me. And, you know, it's this program, especially CMA and Wired, even when I was in my addiction, I used to come to meetings all the time with open arms. Nobody judged me. Nobody talked bad about me. They accepted me for who I was and where I was at the moment. And I'm very grateful for CMA and Wired because it's been a big part of my recovery. It has. And so how it is today right now is I'm working my steps over again for the second time. Actually, this will be the third time. And I pretty much call my sponsor every day with any problems that I have. If it's a question I have that I know that could possibly lead me to something that's not right, I run it by him because it is the best thing that kept me sober so far, and I'm going to continue doing it if it's helping me stay sober. Um, you know, one thing that I like about CMA is when new people come in, because the fellowship here is amazing. I love it. Um, it's one thing that I look forward to whenever I go to meetings is interacting with another alcoholic or addict, um, whether they're new or in the program for a while. Um, and so I also um, so so I'm pretty much starting my new career path in recovery, which is working with other addicts. I just recently got a new job at Homeward Bound as a tech, and I also work at Garland Behavioral Hospital as a tech in a psych ward. Um, this program has gifted me that. It's not me, this program has. And I'm not trying to run on Justin's will anymore. Justin's will is what got me where I am now today. Now it's time for God to control my life. It's time for me to set it down and stop trying to control every little part of my life because it doesn't work when I do. And I'm okay with that. I really am. Um, you know, these tools that my higher power in this program have given me, I use every day. I do. The second I wake up to the moment I go to bed. I just recently started like really kind of getting into meditation because I'm ADHD. It's very hard for me to sit still and not get distracted with any little noise. But it's growing. It is. Whether it's 3 minutes or 5 minutes, it's something to where I can quiet my mind and listen for God. Um, you know, I don't have to seek for validation anymore. I can sit back and be okay with myself and be comfortable in my own skin. Um, you know, I really kind of like have put myself through Oxford for a reason. So my sober living, so I can start learning how to be of service a little bit more, rather than just sitting back in my recovery. I'm trying to take that next step in my recovery so I can start helping other people more and not just floating in life. I think that's all I got. My name is Justin. I'm a crystal meth addict, and I am grateful to be sober and here today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Justin. That was great. Glad I got to hear your story. Let's see, where are we here? All right, in accordance with CMA's 7th tradition, every CMA group ought to be self-supporting, declining outside contributions. Recently, Unwired has had to dip into its prudent reserve in order to maintain expenses, so we strongly urge you to contribute what you can. Although we cannot physically pass the basket around, we do accept contributions via Venmo. Just search for Dallas Unwired. Announcements. In-person meeting. Unwired hosts an in-person meeting at Central Christian Church. The meeting is held on Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Zoom meetings. Unwired has Zoom meetings on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7:30 p.m., Saturdays at 11:30 a.m., and Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Emergency Group Conscience. Unwired will be holding a group conscience to discuss shifting to more in-person meetings. It will be held via Zoom on Sunday, April 11th at 6:45 p.m. after the regular Sunday 5:30 p.m. meeting. Please attend this important meeting. 7th tradition update. Unwired will no longer accept contributions via Venmo after April 10th. 7th tradition contributions can now be made via PayPal or Zelle. Just search for @DallasUnwired, all in one word. Birthday night. We celebrate annual sobriety birthdays on the first Friday of each month. Our next birthday night will be Friday, May 7th at Central Christian Church, as well as a simultaneous meeting on Zoom at 7:30 p.m., and we will be celebrating April birthdays. If you plan to celebrate with us that night, please contact our birthday chair, Shay G, and let him know your sobriety date and who will be introducing you. Speaker meeting. We have speaker meetings on the third Friday of each month and on the first Wednesday of each quarter. The next speaker meeting will be Friday, April 16th via Zoom, and the speaker is Joe C. Business meeting. Unwired holds a CMA business meeting on the third Saturday of each month. The next meeting is Saturday, April 17th at 12:45 via Zoom. If you consider Unwired your home group, please attend. There are now DFW area CMA meetings hosted online 7 days a week. Go to crystalmeth.org to get more information. Are there any other CMA related announcements?
And Mandy, I'm a crystal meth addict. So there's a correction that needed to be made for the 7th tradition. Yes, we are accepting 7th tradition via PayPal at Dallas Unwired. However, if you want to send your contribution via Zelle, it's actually use the address dallasunwired@gmail.com. So that'll work with Zelle. And we'll have that update corrected soon enough. But we haven't. You can still use Venmo until the 10th, and then it's not available anymore.
Got it. Thank you, Andy.
Welcome.
All right. Here at Unwired, as well as other CMA groups, we celebrate monthly increments of sobriety. When I call on a month, if you're celebrating that milestone, please unmute your mic and let the group know so that we may congratulate you. 11 months, 10 months, 9 months, 8 months, 7 months, 6 months, 5 months.
Hey guys, I'm Philip. I'm a crystal meth addict, and I've got 5 months.
Yes! Congratulations, Philip. 4 months, 3 months, 2 months, 60 days, 1 month, 30 days. And is anyone celebrating their return to a sober way of life today? Alrighty. Let's all give another round of applause to Justin one more time for his story. Thank you again, Justin. give us hope, would everyone with a year or more of continuous sobriety please raise your hand? Those willing to be a sponsor, please raise your hands. Whom you see here, what you hear here, when you leave here, let us stay here, and let us conclude the meeting with the Serenity Prayer. God,
God, grant me the serenity
Grant me the serenity
to
So
accept
that
things
things
that
cannot change,
the courage
the
to
courage, things that can, the wisdom to know
wisdom
that
to know that keep coming back. Works
if you work.
Yoth Queen.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you,
Thank you,
Justin.
Justin.
Ciao.
Great job, Justin. Love you.
Thank you.
Thanks for cheering, Brent.
Thank you, Bruce, for asking me to speak.
Absolutely, Justin. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
Bro, I got nervous at the end.
What?
I said I got nervous at the end for some reason.
It's okay. You did great. I was like, I know exactly who the people you were talking about. I know all of them. We did the exact same thing. How did we not meet? we like barely missed each other.
I mean,
Yeah.
after 2017, I quit doing it. Like, I quit talking to people like
Started,
that.
Dive in it. So I was like, I'm gonna go play. Somehow I did not get arrested though.
Me neither. All my boyfriends got arrested, just not me.
Yeah. Like all my deal. You know who my main plug was, right?
Who?
Chris Farmer Farmer. Nick Farmer.
Mark. I was gonna say Mark Farmer. Nick Farmer.
No, Nick Farmer. You know Nick Farmer. I know you do.
Oh yeah, I know who that is.
She was my best friend. Best friend. She's still going though. But you didn't like her?
I mean, I didn't say I didn't. It's just been a minute.
She's a shady bitch sometimes, but so was I.
So, who is my best friend? No. So my best friend during all that was this girl named Ivy Llanos. And this guy named Ryan Dietz.
That was literally my best friend. Ryan Dietz was my best friend. Like, he lived with me for the last, forever. Like, I was the only one that could hit him. Ryan Dietz is my all-time best friend. Like
He was my boyfriend during high school.
sweetheart, like super big heart, like sweetheart.
He's a sweetheart when he's sober,
Yeah.
but when he's on drugs, he's a complete asshole. He
Yeah.
tries to run you out of your fucking apartment or your place you're living. He tries to bring people in to run you out, and I'm just like, girl, look.
Yeah.
I know you, and you can't make me budge.
Yeah. No, he was like the reason. Like when my car got stolen, he was my chauffeur. I made him drive my ass everywhere.
So, I will tell you this: when I first started doing drugs, he was the one to introduce me to somebody.
Jeff Nelson. Like he knows all the.
No, he was the
bad-
one that introduced me to one of my exes that I caught all those charges with, those assault charges with, and that's how I started shooting up.
Who?
His name was Larry Belter.
Larry Dalton.
You don't know who he is. He was like 50 something years old. Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah. His girl, I'm done.